Welcome to my Bajerski YouTube channel. Since 38 years old and right at this very moment, certain things that I did that contributed to the world, not in a tsunami way, but in a gentle, very profound way. 1 million, it makes no difference. If we measure how many people we've helped to the success of our journey, that's not really the truth, not the truth in a spiritual sense. I often say if you help one person in a lifetime, you've done your job. But I look around me now and I realize in an organic way, things that happen to us in our life, when we look back and we can smile and say, this now makes sense, whereas at the time, not so much really. Why is the question most of us ask at that moment of doing things that never really came from the mind, but just from the heart. So at 38 years old, I started making oils, healing oils that would help my clients through their daily life, both mind, which is the emotion, the trauma, the battle between the heart and mind. And then I focused on cleansing of negative energy. That was really important. How do I clear negative energy within and around clients? And these things became organic. They just happened. And the oils that I used just entered into my life, or I became very aware of shamans, healers, working with certain oils. And throughout the years, testing these oils and seeing which worked best for me. So I created 10 oils, beautiful oils, that have worked over these years, and especially these past few years, how they've really helped not just myself, my family, my friends, but so many people around the world. Walking my dogs, my schnauzers that are in the spirit world now, it's like we really created some lovely moments, some channeled moments. And I remember creating the first deck of cards, which were angel cards. They were beautiful. They've helped literally thousands of people worldwide. But one in particular, person that was helped with these cards, saved her life. And that was beautiful. It literally saved her life. At that very moment, she was going to take her life. Since then, over the years, it's helped so many people. Just one deck of cards. And then I produced another deck of cards, which again was all to do with my daily walks and my thoughts and feelings that came forward, and I wrote them down. So I created 2 more decks of cards, which were messages from spirit. To my knowledge, every pure energy healer, practitioner, and many Reiki masters and healers of pranic have these cards and offer a card to a client after a healing session. And that normally confirms everything when they choose a card for themselves and they sit and in that moment feel the energy of the message. It's beautiful. And then came the idea of cleansing the body of negative energy, cleansing the room as well. Very special energy cleansing needs to be done, needs to happen, because if you can raise the vibration in the room, then spirit can come into that room. If you can cleanse that room, you can clear any negative thoughts, feelings of past and present. The trauma, the anger, the sadness, the grief, all sticks to the walls, all sticks to everything. Imagine being able to clear that before you start a healing session or before you start your day. Imagine cleaning the whole of the house in that energetic way that you can lift the vibration. So Your partner can feel better without even realizing why. Your animals feel more at comfort and at peace. Many times people have cleansed their room with my cleansing sticks and said, the cat that didn't come into the house, after I cleansed the house, it came back in that day. Can't lie to an animal. They know energy. They understand it. And I look around me and think, the books that I've written, you know, the first book that I wrote, Diary of an Accidental Psychic, how many people did that touch? At the back of the book it says, now that you've read this book, gift it to somebody else. Wrap it up and gift it to somebody else. So how many people that book has touched and helped confirm certain things that they're going through in their life? Because it's a sign, it's a message. And our spirit world, I truly believe, are always working to show us every day, whether it's good or bad, whether it's gentle, whether it's a thunderbolt and lightning strike, there's always messages given to us. So you can read a book and it has no meaning until you get to the last page and it just blows you away. So there's always something somewhere that's just going to blow you away and change your frequency and hopefully give you the answer to what you need that day or that week or that month or that year. And then I wrote another book. It was more of a little tiny book that helped people through the day, and it was called Hold That Thought. Little brown book. Many people have said they keep it with them daily, and when they're sat with somebody, they just say to somebody, just give me a number. And they'll say, why? Just give me a number. 50. So they take the book out and open it to 50 and read their message, and they're blown away. And from that, I thought of another little book which was equally as beautiful, but with more longer, profound messages. And that book was called From My Heart to Yours. I love using that. I always say that as every time I give something, it's from my heart to yours. And that's a beautiful book. It's very bright and colourful. And again, many people open it up daily. Or if they see a number somewhere, okay, there's my sign. I open the book and read it and it just blows them away. And then my final book, which was something that I really wanted to write. And it was 3 times the size of Diary of an Accidental Psychic, even 4 times the size. And these were all the little stories that touched me. They're not massive, oh my God stories, but the stories that make you realize that these are the signs. The book, Seeing the Invisible, is basically what it says. Everything is around us to see, but we just don't see it. It looks almost invisible. And then you read a book like Seeing the Invisible and they go, oh, hang on a minute, maybe I do see things. Maybe I just don't focus on them. Maybe I choose not to see them. And I think it's a great awakening book. I mean, it doesn't stop there. Every day that goes by, I'm always looking at what crystals to choose from around the world. There's over 50,000 crystals, minerals worldwide. Which one feels right? Which one is going to work this month and next month and the month after? That's a labour of love. And then when I get them cherry picked, or I cherry pick them myself wherever I go, I then begin the work. And the work is completely different than a crystal you buy from a shop, or most of them anyway. So while you're asleep, I'm awake working on crystals, whether it's using them in the sound therapy of singing bowls, or whether I'm in meditation holding them. And once I feel the energy is right within them crystals, then I gift them or sell them on my website. And that goes to with everything that I see and feel. And even today, I've got this idea of creating a sound therapy that one day will hopefully manifest. Might not do, but I'm always coming up with how can we raise the frequency in your day as a single person. I don't look at millions, I look at one, you. How can this help you today? So everything that I've done from 38 years old, and I look back and see, actually, no, you've always done it, Mark. You're just now doing it for a living. This is your work. This is your job. And everything that I've done is about helping others as well as helping myself. So first of all, I'm the guinea pig, and then my clients are the guinea pig. And then if it succeeds and it works, out of all the incense I've ever used, all the oils that I've ever used, all the crystals that I've ever worked with, you've been part of that journey, that process, that organic, beautiful, natural flow of raising the frequency. And you've done the same. Everything that you do daily, when you are of good frequency, good energy, you go into attunement, you go into alpha, you go into that mode where you're driving in a car and you think, wow, how did I get from A to B? That feeling of just working on a painting or drawing or whatever it is, when you go into that mode of beautiful connection to our spirit world, our family. And sometimes we don't even realize, we have no clue until we wake up. And even waking up from that, we don't realize where we've just been. Our consciousness can move in and out of this space at any given moment. Because you might be watching this thinking, I haven't done anything. You do something every single day. In fact, you do something throughout the night. And nobody will ever tell you this, because nobody wants you to know that, because they want you to be a failure. They want you to think that you are nobody and you're not good enough and you haven't done anything in this world. That's a beautiful way for the darkness to keep you where it is. It smiles, thinking, yeah, always think you're nothing, always think you're nobody, always think you're useless, always think of the negative. That to darkness is a dream. So darkness is never going to share this truth with you. And what is the real truth about all of this? I see, while people are asleep, while working on them on a one-to-one session for 1 hour or 2 hours, the change between the physical and the spiritual and the spiritual and the physical within the moment of the real you moving out of the body. Sometimes the physical body can acknowledge it. Most of the time it doesn't. Sometimes it does. I don't actually know why, but I do know that when some people wake up, they often share the same message. And that is, I had the strangest feeling, Mark, when you were healing me, that I was actually elevating. A bit like Moldavite. Some people elevate with Moldavite. You're not actually elevating, but what's actually happening is you, the real you that never dies, the consciousness that holds weight and mass and is beautiful and powerful and filled with light, moves from the body. The question is, why does it move out of the body? I think sometimes if you leave, I often used to say this, I used to be a hairdresser and I often used to say this. People used to say to me, what would be the most perfect customer you ever had? If you could imagine them as being the perfect customer, because I bet you get some right crazies. Yeah, we're all crazy. I say, yeah, the perfect customer for me would be somebody who just left the head and the body went out, so I could just cut their hair and then they come back for the head and stick it on their head, on their body. That would be the perfect customer. And there's something in that. Why would you say that, Mark? Because when you get out of the spacesuit and you go and do what you do, the physical body then can have a healing session. There's nothing interfering. There's nothing causing any disturbance. I'm not trying to, or more importantly, I'm not being confused with the consciousness. I've just got the spacesuit and now I can work on the energy of the physical and the trauma that's trapped in there. So a lot of the times people will fall asleep, and not all the time, but a lot of the times when you fall asleep, you're able to shift out of the body very quickly. So there's something in sleep. And we often say, well, you have to sleep because you need the energy. But I think we sleep because that's where we do the real work. And this is a secret that I don't think many people really truly understand. I don't even think a lot of shamans understand this neither. But maybe they do, and maybe I'm just talking nonsense. But what I noticed, that when people are asleep, there is a change in their energy, in the physical, dense energy. It becomes a lot more heavier. And it feels like, yes, the work's been done and you can penetrate. So something about the spirit actually, without knowing this, without realizing this, can cause a disruption when we're giving the healing session. That's why I always say to people, if they start snoring, there's a good chance we can really get in and do the work. So what do you do when you sleep? This world is a world of duality, and the sense that every day you are either protected and knowing you are protected, or you are protected and not knowing you're protected. You might say, well, why do I get knocked over? Well, there's only so much the spirit world can do. And the fact that you've been given a physical body and a brain and 2 eyes and ears, and maybe you haven't, but your senses, if you haven't got eyes, your senses of ears will become heightened. So the physical body will work to whatever you chose to come back into, whatever body that is. So I understand a lot of the times when I'm at the highest of my energy, when I'm feeling the most sensitive, which doesn't mean weak, but it means very powerful. So when I'm sensitive and I feel things, when I wake up, there's many a times I can recall where I've been, and that is not a dream. It may seem like a dream state, but there is a difference. The dream, in my understanding, is again, there's twofold energy, a duality. The mind working itself out through the night and processing what you've been through the day. And that means that your consciousness is processing what the mind has stored that day. And then there's the other side, which I find the most fascinating. This is the secret. And that is, when you go to sleep, your body leaves and does the real work. And what is the real work? What do we do when our body is in this state of recharge? What do we do? What do we do when we come out? Well, we come out and we can be at any place at any given moment of just a single thought. So your beautiful consciousness, which is light, there is no space and time. So wherever you want to be, let's say you want to be at a school and there's children there and one child is about to hurt another child, you will intervene in the best way you can. Not to break anything up, not to cause any damage, not to stop somebody, but to gently whisper and to use your energy to help. The consciousness knows right from wrong, but there is times when humanity is being hijacked on all levels. So it could be the non-foods that you eat, which then causes the disconnect to all your senses and especially to your consciousness. There could be what you drink, what you're being told daily, the program which is the furthest from your connection between your physical and your spiritual. That is evidently now, it's so obvious now that everything is a hijack towards you being in tune with yourself, body balance, mind and spirit. Everything is a hijack. Why? Because it's easier to program. It's easier to cause issue and problems, and all issues and problems in this real world brings negativity, and negativity brings darker energy. Darker energy brings more problems in the sense of let me get this right. If we can change the frequency in this world to heavy dark energy, then entities that are darker and more manipulating can thrive in this energetic frequency. Remember, it's duality. It's not only our world, but it's the spirit world, a bit like a radio. You tune in and out in the same room, but as you tune out from one, you move into another. So that's the same. So I am here, but then also there could be another duality of the spirit world, as my mum can come in, or any of your family can come in to that same frequency in that room, but just different frequencies. And to be able to be attuned to that is something that I've worked with for 2 decades. So yeah, the moral of today's story, and the greatest secret that was never told, is that you will be told you are not good enough. You will be told that you're a bum, that you've never done anything in this world, that you're not a creator, forget it, you're no good at anything. This is the darkness that weaves its snake-like head into people to be able to regurgitate the feeling that is being given to them by darkness of all different shapes and sizes and frequencies and so on. It's another topic. So many people are influenced by darkness now. It's unreal. And the more we are out of sync, the more we become darker. We become the antenna for darkness. The more healthier we are, the harder it is for darkness to break into this beautiful heart, into this body, into this mind. But if you are of down energy, upset, sad, depressed, grief, all of the low vibration, anger, jealousy, fear, it's very easy because you are an antenna that is now given a radio station for all of those things: fear, jealousy, anger, bitterness, rage, guilt, and so on. That is a frequency which is low, but it's a very powerful frequency. And darkness picks up on that. It's almost like looks out and sees where everybody is vibrating on darkness, because it can move into that very easily. Darkness and negativity work hand in hand. It really does. It comes together like a glove. When you shine a light like a lighthouse, darkness cannot penetrate that. It cannot come into that energy. It does not come into that energy. That's why so many people have attachments when they're going through difficult periods. Not always, but mostly, to my knowledge and my experience. So when you're asleep, your work is of creating good energy for wherever you are, helping in so many ways that you really couldn't describe. I can tell you, the other night I was in a playground, and often I'm either at schools, playgrounds, or at big venues trying to help situations that I know are about to occur, because you can feel it. When you're all seeing, when you see everything and feel everything, then you always go in for where the most negative energy is to try and help that situation. How do you do that? Well, this is something really phenomenal as well. A lot of the times we don't feel it because we're in a bad place, but the influence that we give is of our light. So you can interject into something that could cause great harm and help in that moment. Not always, but there is something that there is the possibility of changing that moment and frequency. But it takes two. So you have to interject your energy into that specific issue or person to try and change quickly that energy. And I don't know if you've ever felt that, but sometimes something takes over and you can get really angry, and then something can take over and make you feel really good. This is the yin and yang. This is the good spirit and this is the bad spirit or negative spirit or dark spirit. So you work through the night to try and bring balance out of chaos. Darkness never stops, and neither does light. And I find that fascinating. And through these years, listening to my clients' experiences after a healing session, you get to understand that when you give them a healing session, they can tell you where they've been. They could have been from here to helping somebody or getting information that they need that may start to make sense in a week, a month, or sometimes 3 months. So I'll often get a phone call saying, Mark, I remember the healing session. Yeah. Well, I didn't really know what happened, but now I understand it. That was very frequent. So they'd give me information of what happened. So then I realized that you leave the body, you go back to the frequency of love, which is the spirit world. It's not a trap. The spirit world. And then you gain information that you vitally need for the future that is in your consciousness. But the problem is most people's physical body is not connected to the consciousness and it cannot hear. Some people do, and that's why they channel. Some people do, and that's why they can sometimes just sometimes tap into that and get snippets of information. That was me. Just snippets of information. The frustrating thing is to understand everything. And it's like a jigsaw. Why can't I get all the accurate information? Still don't know to this day. But sometimes after giving a reading to somebody, they'll say, how did you get all that right? How come you just, everything that you said was like, you read my life. You read everything about me like you know me like a book. I don't know. But then sometimes you just get snippets of one thing, but that one thing can mean everything to somebody. It can change their life. One word can change your life. So I realized it's not about overload. It's about getting the essence of whatever it is and using it, utilizing it in a way that is powerful. So you don't judge whatever comes through. You don't measure it. You just give it with love, and the rest will make sense in its essence, in its time. I see this, I see that, I see this, I see that. And this is exactly what I'm trying to say. If you work on trying to connect to your inside, because everything is inside. Happiness is an inside job. Healing is an inside job. Connection is an inside job. Nobody, no healer, no psychic, no teacher can give you that. You've got to go there. You've got to find it. To find it and to get there and to work on that, to ultimate connection or enlightenment or nirvana, whatever you call it, it's a process and takes time. And there's so many things that you go through in life to be able to get there. And sometimes you can get a head start or a brief glimpse into that world where you're hanging off a cliff because you fell, and all of a sudden angels come or a voice comes, and that sometimes does happen, or an accident, or it could be an accident and then you're saved, or you realize quickly you've woken up to something that, well, how did I know that? Why? How did I know to do that? And that just saved my life. I was on a radio show called the Richie Allen Radio Show, and he said something really interesting, and that was they took the information of every single plane crash that has ever happened over the years, and nearly every plane that takes off, there's one or two people that don't get on it. That's why they overbook it. They always overbook planes, okay? And they found that the ones that crashed, when they looked into how many people didn't turn up, was huge, phenomenal. So why is it that so many people didn't turn up when that plane crashed? And you might get angry and say, well, that's unfair. You know, you might say my partner got knocked over, or my friend died in an accident. And why is that? And I say it's not right or wrong or good or bad or anything like that. It's just that the world as we know it, we came into this world to understand, to love, to understand our body, to understand the spirit that's within this spacesuit, to connect to loving people and to experience the world, but not in the way it's been manipulated. So everything, the manipulation of the world, the parasites that run the world and control the world, have stopped us from being who we truly are. Now, some people break free from that and won't buy into it and won't allow it in their consciousness. They won't allow it in their spacesuit because they know this is all a puppet show. It's a game. It's all smoke and mirrors, everything. And it all boils down to trying to stop you from attuning to who you truly are. And that's inside. But some of us have broke free from that and realised that the system is dark. It's a program. It's a brainwashing mechanism to keep the system going. But when you break free from it and say, no, I'm not buying into this. I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want to be a nurse. I don't want to be any of those things that you tell me I need to be. I want to be whatever I want to be. I don't want to be a solicitor. I don't want to be a rocket scientist. I just want to be creative. I just want to be me. They don't like that. They want you to just do things and behave yourself. And even nurses have to do things, even though they know they want to do something else because they have compassion. And no, there's no compassion in this. And if there is, better shut up and better not say anything about it because that's not part of the curriculum. That's not part of my training. Excuse me, could you tell me about your training, nurses? Was there any compassion training? Okay, think for yourself training. Do what you feel is right for the training? No, none. So you can see all of the system is geared up to be an automaton, to be a robot. And that's why so many people leave being a nurse, being a doctor, because they realize you can't be who you want to be. And you thought who you were going to be, you thought what you were going to do was going to be a good thing and a loving thing, but you realize that the paperwork, everything that up there, and I don't mean spirit world, but the ones controlling, are doing this deliberately to suppress, to hurt, to cause pain and suffering. So everything that I speak about today, all that I feel, all that I understand, is because I was brave enough to stand up against the darkness and the system. And thus I became a healer. And I chose to understand life, spirituality, healing, energy, and everything that comes with it when you work with your client. There's no books that I read. There's no rules that I obeyed. There's no anything that stops me from when I work with my clients. And that is dangerous to the system. They don't like that. Because when you work in that way, it doesn't take long before you realize that in here is how it should be. And out there is all wrong. And it's dark. And it's deadly. And it's dangerous. And it's illness and sickness and disease. Deliberate. Because that's where they make their money. And that's how they cull the world. This is obvious when you are in a room giving healing for 4 days, 10 days, 2 weeks, a year, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 17 years. You realize that it's all wrong out there. And everything that you've been told is deliberately suppressing humanity into fear. Deliberately keeping you enslaved. Deliberately only allowing you a brief moment to breathe and to have a holiday for 2 weeks if you're lucky, but mainly to just keep you occupied and busy in a job that 9 times out of 10 is meaningless. And you only realize that at the last moment on this planet. How do I know that? Because I've been with clients at the last moment, 70, 80, 90 years old, who suddenly open their eyes after a healing session, and then they just realize what they've been through and what they've done, and what was important and what wasn't important, and what they wished they should have done and could have done, but they didn't see. And sometimes a healing session can do that as well. Sometimes a healing session can connect you to you, not the brain, not the spacesuit, but the real you. And when that perfect connection happens, life changes. Sickness disappears. Fear disappears. Inner peace becomes reality for the first time in your life. And I've seen this over and over and over again. Why do you think I became a healer and stayed a healer? I've done hundreds of jobs, but I stayed at healing. Why? Because I saw the effect, cause, effect, side effects. Everything was absolutely incredible. I could even say magical. Sometimes so overwhelming that tears are pouring down my eyes. The feeling of healing that no doctor or nurse could understand. No, I'm sorry, but you can't understand it because it's so profound. Some doctors know it, some nurses know it because they know what healing is and they know how to heal. And they've been for courses and learned about healing. They've studied it with shamans and all the people that have taught them, and they've brought that into the dark system to try to infiltrate the dark system with light and love. Sometimes it worked, but most of the times they were stopped. So like I said, it was easy for me because nobody was on to me. Nobody cared about me. I was on a little mountain top and I was giving thousands of healing sessions throughout the years. Some great stories, which I wrote down in my books and wrote down as I was walking my dogs, of all the channeled messages that we can receive while in that state of alpha, in the state of healing. There's so many other states. This is just a limited name, alpha. Forget alpha. It's exactly like saying your chakras. So limited because we don't have alpha, beta, delta and all of these. Forget all of that. We go into a state beyond words. We activate our body beyond chakras. We go into a state of pure bliss and harmony and healing. So for me, over these years, trying to share this with people, some grasped the energy of that and some people said, I want to come and learn. And some people laughed. And we get used to this. We understand this. We understand that that's the way of life. The space so often is programmed so heavily that it's not interested in learning. It believes it's learnt enough and it doesn't need any more. And so it continues eating, drinking, sleeping and working till it gets cancer, and then it knocks on my door or a healer's door and says help, because modern medicine tells them they've got 3 months to live or a month. Isn't it funny how we run to people like me at the last moment when they've exhausted all avenues? I got used to that. So this is a little chat today about life and mainly about how amazing you are. And if you're still watching this now, then I want to say thank you on behalf of your family and spirit. And I want to remind you all, you are here for a reason. You were chosen. Whether it was yourself or whether it was a decision of the collective or whatever you want to call it. It's not the Borg. It's the spirit world, and it's not a trap. The light is not a trap. The light is love. So there you go. You're amazing. And don't ever question yourself why you're here, in the sense of fear and self-worth and I'm useless and not good enough and I've done no contribution hardly at anything. No, you have. Your spirit does every night when you're asleep. So, on behalf of your family in the spirit world, I want to thank you for always getting up in the morning, knowing that there's more to life than what you live and how you are. And maybe from this message tonight, they ask you to begin a path of meditation, cleansing, clearing, using oils and incense that we all use on a daily basis. Start to look into ways of cleansing yourself, both mind, body and spirit. Finding a mirror, looking in it, but not a physical mirror. Just standing back from your own body. While you're sat down on a seat, just stand back. Just stand away from it and look at it. And ask yourself what triggers you and why. And then ask yourself, what would you do for that person if it wasn't you? How would you help them? Because it's true. When you step out of this body, the body is not you. It's a spacesuit. And how do you need to prepare that spacesuit and fix it, take it in for an overhaul? Well, everything that I've just said. Cleanse, clear. These are thoughts. They call it food for thought. I hope it makes a difference. This is just a little chat today that I wanted to share with you. But ultimately, you are powerful. You are the lighthouse of the world and you keep the balance of this world. Just like Lord of the Rings, at that very last moment when they're surrounded by darkness and evil, they stand strong and they believe in themselves no matter what. Start to believe in yourself and realize how powerful you are. Because without you, this world would be a dark place. So I send you my love and my healing. And hey, who knows, tonight we might meet each other. Take care.